What's up guys, welcome back. OCG metagame breakdown for early December indeed, 2018. So let's take a look, two different tournaments, two different breakdowns here to see, and this is the most important thing why I decided to again do a breakdown video, is to see if Vrains Pack 2 has any form of impact on the format, on the OCG format that is. If I'm not mistaken, Vrains Pack 2 should have been released last week, since I think the newest card released this weekend, well, like the weekend of, I think, 1st of December, 2nd of December, was the gadget, the new Link gadget. So I think a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, was the release of Vrains Pack 2. So two different tournaments. First of all, big shout out, of course, like always, to Road of the King, of course. Also as to Ready for Duel, also, but like always, all the links will be in the video description. The first one here is the Asia Championship, the Winter 2019 qualifier held in Singapore. If I'm not mistaken, it had about 86 participants, so that's quite decent. The format is super diverse, as you see here, a lot of different decks. As same for the top 16 break, at least the top 16 cutoff, Sky Striker, Gokis as well, Trickstars. Goki had the biggest representative, or at least the most represented decks here in the top cut, sitting at 5 in the top 16, followed by Trickstars, Sky Striker as well, Altergeist, the holy 4, I guess. Very similar to us TCG players, very similar to probably YCS Milan upcoming weekend. Here finally, we had 4 Six Samurai players in the Asia Championship qualifier, the winter qualifier held in Singapore. 4 Six Samurais, and only one of them managed to get top 16. 4 zombie players, but none of them made it to the top 16 cutoff. 29 others, and again, more interesting, at least the more in-depth for at least for these decks will be found on the website. As for the results, the top 8, eventually, yeah, the event was won by Trickstars, basically pure Trickstars, followed by finally Six Samurais. As you know, Gateway of the Six has been a 3 in the OCG for a very long time, but Six Samurais wasn't really doing anything, even though they were basically at full force. But thanks to this new Six Samurai Link monster, finally the deck shines, or is starting to shine, followed by Sky Striker, Gokis, etc, etc. So for the lists, so the finals, as you see here from the pictures taken, was between both the Six Samurais and Tricksters, of course. As you see here from the left, we, well, Six Samurais, as you probably have seen on YouTube, like replays, very heavily based on, well, like looping both Six Samurai Blue and Six Samurai Red, right? Multiple special summons, not once per turn, and the advantage that the OCG players have is that they still have an Invoker, and X-Saber and Voker to search, like the Earth Six Samurai, get an extra search, etc, etc. And that's something that we also see from his list. But first, the first place, we have the Trickstar deck. Nothing too spectacular. I think we see the double pot of Indulgence here in the main deck, right? Same for Inspector Border. The Dandelion main deck is quite interesting. Dandelion banned in the TCG for a very good reason. No clue why it's legal in the OCG, even though they also have Cherubini still legal. And very interesting to this list, of course. A lot of hand traps, but he's main decking triple copy of 3 copies of the... Is it level 7, the Phantasme? Like, you know, special summon it from your hand, draw cards equal to the amount of link monsters your opponent controls +1, and then send the same amount of cards back to the deck, right? But it ends like 1+ and drawing into your deck, basically. Very interesting list. Main decking goes in match as well, but more interesting to see here in the extra deck if the deck is running any Vrains Pack 2 or any of the other new support cards, and nope, this particular list wasn't running any of that. Quite interesting here in the side deck, he was running triple copy or 3 copies of Herald of the Abyss. Very interesting monster removal, if I'm not mistaken. This is for me the first time that I see it popping up, at least in somewhat competitive play. Six Samurai list, very interesting list, is that, as you probably would have seen, Six Samurai lists online, a lot of lists, including mine, were running multiple continuous spells, and this particular list, ending up 2nd place, only ran triple Gateway. You know that the Six Samurai Link monster is able to search out Gateway, for example, and very interesting, he's only running the Gateway, and I get why. As you know, Six Samurai isn't really a deck that's good at top decking, and especially if they are main decking something like Triple Gateway, Triple United, and even maybe the Field Spell or other Temple of the Six, you know, or other continuous spells, then you're main decking a lot of brick cards. I mean, if you need to top deck, you will always be top decking those useless spells if you're already committed to your side of the field. So very interesting that he's only playing Gateway, and of course, as you know, the Link 6 Samurai also gains Bushido counters on itself, so you can potentially like tutor those extra combos. So very interesting that he's only running a triple Gateway here in the main deck. But for equips, of course, to surcharge basically any 6 Samurai, and preferably, or maybe get an extra search off of the Earth one. Rongo Bongo here in the extra deck, and very interested to see how that card is going to impact YCS Milan here for the TCG, but I mean, if you can spam multiple level 3s and multiple level 4s to your side of the field, going for the quote-unquote FTK Rongo Bongo shenanigans, why not, right? It's definitely one of this deck's powerhouses, power cards, and the fact that they also have Invoker legal quite crazy. As for the Sky Striker list, nothing too spectacular here as you saw. So yeah, I think we already saw a lot of Sky Striker lists, right? Pankratchops seems to be becoming like a side deck staple, right? Gokis as well. This should be the 60 card variant, the 40 card variant coming soon, but 60 card beat down. Well, again, the Neospace connector, basically the one card Isolde, right? Again, very interesting to see how that card is going to impact YCS Milan upcoming weekend. But as for the rest, a full Psychic Wielder engine, very interesting, of course, because of Invoker, which is of course banned in the TCG. If we look at the extra deck, I don't see any new support from the Link Vrains Pack 2. Same for the side deck, right, the Phantasme Dragon, but outside of that, side decking the Mexi. Okay. So that's it for the first part. The second part here being the actual OCG metagame breakdown for past weekend, so the most recent event, or the most recent weekend, right? Yeah, in a couple of tournaments, Link Vrains Pack 2 was not allowed, since there were a couple of tournaments that were used here in the report where Link Vrains Pack 2 was not legal. But let's take a look at the lists or the breakdown, very similar to what we previously saw. But the biggest change here is Magicians, Pendulum Magicians, but I'll come back to that in a couple of moments, and Subterrors as well, but I don't have any Subterror lists. There were no lists revealed or found. I didn't find them online. Yeah, Sky Striker again, nothing too spectacular. I think he is citing the Gammas, right? Gamma is definitely on the rise, and I think for the biggest reason is because of the Lambda, right? As you see here in the Altered Guys list. The Altered Guys list is also putting the Psyframe Link monster, the Lambda, in the extra deck. Biggest strength of the deck is that it's generic. You can make it with any 2 monsters, and just that makes it pretty much better than Tour Police, you know, Police of the Underworld and your Landfall Incus. But something like Altered Guys, it can be important. Let's say you can definitely search something like your Gamma, but yeah, Altered Guys, that's fine. More about Lambda in a couple of moments. As for Gokis, again, this is the 40 card list, nothing too spectacular, right? No big changes also here in the extra deck, nothing too spectacular, no big changes compared to previously. Finally here, Magicians, Pendulum Magicians. As you know, the OCG still has access to Astrograph Sorcerer, Audace Revolution Dragon being the V-Jump promo. Also, yeah, cards in the Pendulum Magician deck that we in the TCG don't have. But the biggest change here is the addition to the Pendulum Magician deck of Lambda, the Psyframe Link monster that, as you know, if you banish a Psychic type monster, as in Omega for example, you can get a search any Psyframe hand trap during the end phase, and he's main decking 3 Gammas and of course the driver for it in the main deck. So again, during the end phase, and as you know, Pendulum Magicians can easily make Omega to trigger your Lambda search in the end phase, potentially drop Gamma during your opponent's turn. Let's say your driver and Gamma survives, they will banish themselves to potentially get another search during your opponent's end phase. So very awesome, right? But very important is Omega getting back that banished driver to your graveyard. So Omega is a very important tutor. So if we take a look at, you know, the impact of Link Vrains 2, it seems that it's pretty much 6 Samurais that's somewhat on the rise, and yeah, Pendulum Magicians with Lambda, but otherwise it's a little bit of a letdown. And as for the metagame, yeah, pretty much Lambda and, yeah, 6 Samurais, right? And if you look at other lists, as Sword of the King also mentions it at both trains. Trains with a new double header and Anger Knuckle, the link to for trains. But still, it's not really that competitive. It has a lot of difficulties of combating the metagame. And same for Magical Musketeers. Magic Bullets, Magical Musketeers, they also got a very powerful link monster, but as you know, it doesn't really solve the core problems of magical muskets, as you see here in an example decklist. Very straightforward, right? With the main deck Gozen Edge as well. So yeah, pretty much self-explanatory. As for the rest, we see, this one is also quite interesting, being the quite of a hype at least a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago. Thunder dinosaurs, but nope, Thunder seems to be completely vanished from the OCG. But it's also a deck that's again very interesting to see how Thunder is going to do here in YCS Milan this weekend. But in the OCG, it's somewhat fading away, and that's what I feel about it. Okay. Link Vrains Pack 2, let's see. Yeah, it's a little bit of a letdown. 6 Samurais, Psy-Frame, Link Monster are pretty much the better ones coming out of the first weekend. So very anxiously awaiting to see if well, any other Link Monsters are going to pull it through or coming through. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks so much. Feel free to leave a comment or like if you enjoyed the video. Lithium signing out. Peace.